Today we are going to start with our fourth lesson, which is the poem After Blenheim written by Robert Southey. But before learning the poem in details, let us have a look at the poet himself. Robert Southey was born in Bristol on 12th August 1774. He developed radical religious and political ideas and at one stage even considered emigrating to America with his friend Samuel Taylor Coleridge. The idea was, however, abandoned, and Southey began writing plays and poems, and in particular developed the ballad form in poems such as After Blenheim, The Inchcape Rock. He was a prolific writer of verse and histories and an accomplished biographer who wrote the life of Nelson. In the early period of his life, Southey was influenced by the great Thomas Paine and by the early optimistic years of the French Revolution. In 1794, even before he had written After Blenheim, Southey had written a dramatic poem in 3 acts called Wat Tyler. Southey gradually lost his radical opinions and became much more of an establishment figure. He was appointed Poet Laureate in 1813 and he was so for 30 years. Poet Laureate is of course the court poet of England. After Blenheim is an anti-war poem written by English Romantic Poet Laureate Robert Southey in 1796. It was written in the form of a ballad. After Blenheim is also known as the Battle of Blenheim. Blenheim is the English name for the German village of Blinden, situated on the left bank of the Danube River in the state of Bavaria in southern Germany. It deals with a battle that was fought between England and France, and at the end, England won the battle. Southey does not describe the battle directly, but through the conversation between an old farmer and his grandchildren, it gradually emerges that the setting is a former battleground. One evening, in fields around the Bavarian town of Blenheim in southern Germany, an elderly farmer named Caspar sits in front of his cottage watching his grandchildren Wilhelmine and Peterkin at play. Peterkin is rolling an object he found near a stream. He takes it to Caspar and asks what it is. The old man, who has found many such objects while ploughing the fields, replies that it is the skull of a soldier who died in the Battle of Blenheim. Their curiosity aroused, the children ask him about the battle and why it was fought. The English routed the French, he says, in what later generations would call a great and famous victory. However, Caspar is at a loss to explain the cause of the battle. He does know that thousands died in it, not only soldiers but also townspeople, including children. In fact, the fields were littered with corpses. But such terrible consequences are part of war, he says. They do not negate the glory of the victory. Wilhelmine then comments that the battle was a wicked thing, but Caspar tells her that she is wrong. It was a famous victory, he says. Peterkin asks what good came of the fighting. Caspar says he does not know, but adds that it was a famous victory. He told them that a great battle had been fought there, and many of the leaders had won great renown. But he could not tell why it was fought or what good came of it. He only knew that it was a great victory. That was the moral of so many of the wars that devastated Europe for centuries. The kings fought for more power and glory, and the peasants fled from burning homes, and the soldiers fell on the fields. The poem gives us an idea of the real value to men of such famous victories as that of Blenheim. The first stanza begins with a picturesque description of a summer evening. The poet introduces the main character of the poem, Old Caspar, who had just finished his work for the day and was sitting in the sun before his cottage door, watching his granddaughter Wilhelmine play on the field. Now observe the tone of the first stanza. It is set in a very peaceful and quiet and serene environment, something which is in sharp contrast to the central theme of the poem. As you can remember, it's an anti-war poem, and therefore it is always going to say negative things about war and its impact on people. In the second stanza, we see that while playing, Wilhelmine saw her brother Peterkin rolling something large, smooth, and round, which he had found beside the rivulet or a small stream. The meaning of rivulet is a small stream. Now he was curious to know what that thing was and therefore turned to his grandfather for information. Now look at what the poet states in the second line. Roll something large and round. This creates a sense of suspense and curiosity within the readers, because the readers do not know yet what this large and round object is. So this generates a sense of suspense and curiosity. Now old Caspar took the large and smooth and round thing from his grandson's hands and shook his head with a sigh, as he figured that it was some poor fellow's skull who had died in the war. It is ironic that he refers to the Battle of Blenheim as a great victory at the cost of loss of human lives. We are encouraged to think about the purpose of validity of war in this particular paragraph. Here, the grandson is an inexperienced person, and therefore he looks at his grandfather with some sort of answer to his questions. His grandfather has seen a lot in his life, and therefore he is expected to be a more experienced person and give him some valuable feedback. And here we see a contrast between the experienced and the inexperienced. The inexperienced boy with a skull in his hand looking at his experienced grandfather for an explanation to what was the reason behind him finding a skull in a rivulet while playing there. Now look at what the poet says in the fourth stanza. I find them in the garden, for there's many hereabout, and often when I go to plough, the ploughshare turns them out. For many thousand men, said he, were slain in that great victory. Now in this stanza, Caspar goes on to mention that he had found many such skulls while ploughing the land, as thousands of soldiers were killed in the victorious war. Look at the expression, for many thousand men. It further shows us that it was not just one or two people that were the victims of war. There were thousands of young men who had died, who had sacrificed their lives in order to win the battle. And the dead bodies of these soldiers, they lie in the fields unnoticed. However, Caspar uses the term great victory here. Look at the term great victory in the last line of the stanza, great victory. This expresses his pride at the sacrifice of the soldiers who played a very important role in the war. Now this is ironic because there is nothing great about this victory, but Caspar goes on to repeat this particular line several times in the poem, this particular term. Okay, so great victory is ironic because there was nothing great about this victory, and no good came out of this war. Also, you must pay a little attention to what the poet says in the third line. And often when I go to plough, the ploughshare turns them out. What is the importance of the act of ploughing? When we plough, our intention is to grow crops, which means to bring life. And what comes out of it in this particular situation? When he ploughs the field, what comes out of the soil? Nothing which signifies life. He sees skulls which represent death. And therefore, we see how this act of bringing life here shows death. It shows that this war had taken place many years ago. People may have forgotten about it. The new generation, the generation which has Wilhelmine and Peter King, they do not even know about the horrors of this war. But you cannot hide the reality for a very long time. It will come out eventually. And therefore, this war, which had occurred many years ago, the horrors of it are still very much visible, and this you can see through the representation of the skull which is found by this young boy when he goes to the rivulet. Now Sadi, he uses a skull which is the most unique part of the human body, and it makes you recognize that the skull was once a part of a human body that was ruthlessly killed, and this again lays stress, focus on the pointlessness of war. In the last line, you see the word slain. Slain means killed. So many thousand people were killed in that great victory. Stanza 5. This is the last stanza that we are going to discuss in today's lesson. What does the poet say here? Now tell us what it was all about. Young Peterkin, he cries, and little Wilhelmine looks up with wonder-waiting eyes. Now tell us all about the war and what they fought each other for. In this particular stanza, we see that the children were excited to know more about the war. They were curious to know about the purpose of the war. They had, in fact, associated a sense of thrill, adventure, and excitement with the whole concept, the whole idea of war and sacrifice. Now look at what little Wilhelmine says. She says she looks up to her grandfather in anticipation with wonder-waiting eyes. Wonder-waiting eyes means she is very excited. She is very surprised. She is very eager to know what his grandfather is going to tell him about the war. We also see in this stanza that the poet attempts to distinguish the kind of curiosity and enthusiasm associated with a child. Look at how these children behave. They have a lot of curiosity and enthusiasm within them. They have the energy of a young person, something that you see missing in old Casper. Old Casper is a very docile. His nature is not as exciting, is not as energetic as his grandchildren's. And therefore, we see a contrast, a difference between the personalities of the old and the young. Now, why are these children so excited? Young Peterkin, Wilhelmine, both of these grandchildren, they look up to their grandfather and they are very excited to know what that war was all about. It is because his grandfather in the previous stanza had called this war a great victory, which, as I told you before, generated a sense of curiosity, not only in the readers but also in the children. So obviously they want to know what this war was all about, and therefore they ask their grandfather what it was all about. And Wilhelmine, she looks up with wonder-waiting eyes. She looks up at her grandfather with a lot of excitement, waiting for her grandfather to answer and explain to them the greatness of being in this war. With this, we come to an end to the first part of your fourth lesson. This will be followed by the second part, which will explain the poem, the later stanzas of the poem further, and that will be followed by your question answers. Now, before ending this lesson, I would like to remind you to read the lines of the poem thoroughly and listen to the explanation carefully. The explanations are very important because they help you realize the reason why the poet has written these lines and eventually help you frame answers better. All the best for your lesson today.